Alright, so excuse the low FPS while recording with Fraps. Here is the Iwo Jima map. Now, this is probably the best way I can show you the entire map without, you know, showing you all of it, because I can't really show you all this in game. It would take quite some time. But this is the map without any props. This is just the terrain and the painting that I've done. So, as you can see, this is pretty accurate. The shape, everything. I made sure to watch a lot of footage. I did an unbelievable amount of research. I really dived into Iwo Jima for this to get it as realistic as I could in Battlefield 1942 without taking away from the realism like they did with Rising Storm, just by adding in a bunch of crappy rocks and like some stupid volcano. The volcano itself here is identical to the one, to the real Mount Suribachi. Everything here, like each ridge is here, everything. I made sure that the shape was accurate on all sides. I made sure it looks the same. It's perfect in my opinion. I spent a crazy amount of time researching and looking at this, but as you can see, I built it very levelly, like the beach. Here's one level for you, and then the terrain keeps rising, as Iwo Jima's terrain did before it eventually drops back down on the other side. Now, I didn't do such a subtle drop on one end. What I did was I created these small valleys and canyons, which are great, especially this back one here, for Japanese tank movements, movements to push vehicles up to the north end of the island without being seen by the attackers here. You have lots of cover on the beach here. You have craters, these small little valleys as well, which are quite large in game. This map is huge, it's massive. The Battlefield 1942 Iwo Jima is maybe like not even maybe a quarter of this size. So this is quite big. So what we have here is the first airfield, Airfield 1, which is accurate. Then we have Airfield 2, which is also accurate. And then we have Airfield 3 here, which was under construction when the Marines invaded, so I made it about halfway, and how it looked on maps. I looked at a whole lot of maps as well. Then back here you have the Japanese headquarters, which is the pocket of Iwo Jima, which is what it was called, and here you have the repair station. There are 5 Hago tanks here, I think 5 half-tracks here. I didn't put any of the little jeeps because I wanted to encourage teamwork, which means loading up in these half-tracks and moving out. You can also see that the mountains here are all accurate to Iwo Jima. All these mountains that were on Iwo Jima are in the exact same place as they are here on this map. One thing I did too was really look at the defense lines of Iwo Jima, which are accurate here. It was very much of a loop that went around the beach. The main defenses were the beach, and then everything kind of died off after that. But we have a few defense lines here with barbed wire, and then you can't really see, but there are bunkers here that create more defense lines as well. There is a whole lot of machine guns. Each bunker is looking at like every stretch of land. Everything can be seen. Then you have a handful of def guns, not too many. There's a def gun here, which you cannot see from the beach. We have a def gun right here, which you cannot see from the beach either, but once tanks start pushing up and guys start pushing up, then the def gun can also see them. That def gun may be able to hit some LVTs in the water as well, which I'm not entirely sure. We have def guns over here on these hills here, which are looking over this into the beach. I also have the repair tent for the Sherman tanks here. The capture points, there are 2 for the two ends of the beaches. We have 3 Sherman tanks that spawn here and 2 that spawn here, and then they can repair here, which is not visible to any emplacement on the island. Then once we capture the Mount Suribachi. Here we have, I think, 3 American half-tracks that spawn in, which help with transportation towards Airfield 1. I really wanted to make the capture points long here so that by time it's captured, the majority of the American team should be on the beaches, and then they push in together, which is accurate. I really wanted to promote realistic movements along the island. And so once this beach is captured here, they push into Airfield 1, and then this beach can push up towards Mount Suribachi. Then from there we have this, which is a point. This is where the Japanese Zeros spawn in. You could see if I turn, or if I go to objects here and turn on vehicles, you can see the Japanese Zeros. You can see the capture points. These are all machine gun placements that you see. You can see the spawns and the capture points there. Let me go back to this. Okay, and this airfield here, Airfield 3, is also a capture point, and you can see there's some defenses around it, not too many. Everything here is binded to this capture flag. So once this flag is captured, the Japanese tanks and reinforcements stop from the HQ. There also is this mountain, which is a capture point. I wanted to really make sure I spread out the points and not have them run all along the backside of the island. So we have them spread in towards the very crazy terrain towards this mountain here. And that is all points. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there may be even 8. I'm not entirely sure. One thing I like is the render distance is very high in game, so you can see Suribachi from this airfield here, and you can see Suribachi from a large majority of the island. And in Battlefield 1942's default Iwo Jima, you wouldn't see Suribachi until you're about this close. It's pretty ridiculous. You can also see Suribachi render in about this far. You can see the entire mountain in game, which is good. So yeah, I spent an unbelievable amount of time on this. I painted everything. I didn't just like throw textures, like everything I painted by hand. I know Editor 42 is easier with painting, but everything is done by hand. I wanted to make sure I did like my own shading without shadows, using the textures you could see here. Like I redid this map 3 times, so I put a lot of effort into this. One thing you could see here is we have 2 American destroyers here. One of the guys that was helping me out with this map, giving me tips and stuff, he is able to add stuff into the game. I could never really get custom objects and vehicles in for this map, which I wish I could, but it was just too difficult. It's like too complicated for me. But it is very much so possible to not only have these LVTs or have LVTs lined up here, so we can have landing crafts coming off these destroyers and Marine Corps LVTs lined up, where guys can crawl down the nets which are on the ships and into the LVTs, and they'll all push in towards land. And then down here in this corner we have the aircraft carrier, which has a handful of Corsairs and SPDs, which I would hope to have custom aircraft as well. I even added in the smaller islands, which are accurate to Iwo Jima. We have this one over here too, and there is a reef in a way. It's just to stop the ships from pushing too close to the island. I was thinking about having them disable the ship movement completely, but then again I figured, well, you know, it's much better if we can have these ships pull up closer and shell parts of the island, which they most definitely can see. So now I'm going to go in game and show you some stuff.